Welcome to everybody. This is the pitching session for the third course dedicated to the Green Living Territories. My name is Cynthia Chave. I'm from EMEA. I'm one of the representatives of the organization of this course. As educational director, I'm very pleased to be here with all of you, and I hope that you have a fruitful discussion, and that at the end we will also share with you a survey of to have your feedback. So just enjoy the session, and I will leave the floor to my colleague Maria Caldero from Beta. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia, and welcome everybody. Sorry for the ones who are new, that maybe like you feel a little bit, but today the plan would be that to present or to brainstorm and discuss about the assignment that Andreas also here suggested last week based on the launching of course 3. But yeah, feel free like just to be here listening, and then we will have Maurizio talking about PEFMED project. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. So today the idea is to go over a field example of the assignment that we suggested last week. And then some participants has done the assignment, so it would be great if they can also go over their examples, and we have just a nice discussion over it. And then Maurizio will present us the PEFMED Plus project, which is also very interesting. And if you check the e-lessons, it was represented there. Then you can have questions if you want. And as Cynthia said, there is a course feedback survey, or we can also take it more informal, and you can let us know about it here. So just to break the ice and go over the example, we suggested a plant-based product, which is called Euro, and it's an company example from Spain. And they produce vegan meat, but with the taste of meat. So yeah, it's just a plant-based product, but wants to.
Maria, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I think that if maybe you present because we're stuck in the first slide.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. One moment. I'm gonna do this. I don't have the two screens today, and I am confused. Okay, I try again. Should I be here? And then if I do like this, can you see it now?
Yes, now it's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Perfect. So yeah, is this a company, Foods, it's called, and yeah, they are called successors of meat. And here with the value chain canvas, yeah, we suggested some, I don't know if you can see it also here, the challenges, current challenges, opportunities for change, and new elements. So going over the value chain canvas to brainstorm about these aspects. The current challenge could be a change the food system to a more sustainable, healthy, and nutritious one. The fact that they want to be meat, but they are not meat. And also they don't mention organic food anywhere, and the ingredients are soy protein, pea protein, and methyl cellulose, which is this animal taste, and the availability of vegetables as local resources, for example, olive oil, basil, cumin, and the fact that they only accept, or they say, high protein and MGO-free legumes are allowed in terms of the food sources. Then another challenge or current challenge is the potential waste during preparation that they have. In terms of distribution, the fact that if they want to distribute outside Barcelona, the cooking is that they support the meat taste rather than having their own taste. So even though you're eating legumes, you taste like I don't know, a pork stick. The plastic packaging, which is also always involved with food. The fact that if the mix of composting with non-compostable products, and they also have a food activism aspect. So a current challenge would be so that they can prove that they are avoiding food waste within their own company. About opportunities for change, we suggested that they could collect their own leftovers through local composting, and that they could provide better information on the plant-based product origin. So where are these soy and peas coming from? They could use a recycled paper for packaging. They could introduce these type of foods in canteen menus and promote it more. And it was also mentioned last week, the use of and promote seasonal vegetables when they designed this type of food. And in terms of new elements, they could replicate the business model in other countries, but locally, instead of managing everything from Barcelona. It would be nice to, if it's a good business model, to replicate it elsewhere. Introduce other type of protein, of legume protein, for example, lentils, chickpeas, beans. Use renewable energy for their processing. And here it's all, again, brainstorming, because I don't know really how this company works, but based on what they sell in the webpage and what I could know as consumer. Also, they could think about eco-friendly mobility, such as cargo bikes, suggest local-based recipes. Actually, they have in their webpage some recipes to go with this with their type of food, but they are all very they are not that local, or at least I think they are not local based on what we consume here in Catalonia. So they could suggest more local ones. And the use of reusable packaging for restaurants, stores, for example, and delivered to canteens without all the individual packaging that they provide for end users. Also, if they suggest a returnable packaging, so they would have to collect it. And about the zero food waste, a new element could be that the restaurants could measure and report waste, including the waste of meat, to have data on how much meat is not eaten versus their own food. And then just quickly moving to the partner map that Andreas suggested to place potential stakeholders involved in Euro businesses, a business model, and also at the end, if you want, so after having this map, if you think that the company have to move towards more locally or have something move towards globally, but here a suggestion of how this map looks like. In terms of design of the ecosystem, we have the local partners to identify potential rollout in the global aspect. We could have partners in MED region to replicate the business models, and right now the core team is in Barcelona. Regarding food sources, I placed soy producers globally because it's not clear to me where is this soy coming from. But of course, regionally or more local vegetable producers. The preparation or packaging we have from packaging raw material producers globally to the equipment tools producers, more mid-region, logistics from producers to Euro regional, and production and packaging site locally. Distribution, we could also have all levels from delivering to other countries global-wise, or closer to Spain but outside of Spain, or national logistics, or logistics to more local end users. Cooking and eating, so far it's the end users or end consumers regionally, and local restaurants and guests that they sell this product. Leftovers and packaging, it's more based on stores and restaurants as stakeholders that they could reuse or compost the organic waste, or even food donations or food banks. They collect the reusable packaging, and in terms of next use of food waste, it could be, or the food activism team could be engaged worldwide, and the reuse of packaging containers could be based regionally, and community composting locally. And that's it. Now it's your turn. Hopefully this helped to break the ice and see an example. And also, Andreas, feel free. We have, if only Mary and Audrey are presenting, we have time to discuss a little bit more on these two tools that you suggested, Andreas. So I don't know, maybe Audrey, if you want to share a screen and present, and then we have brainstorming.
We can do that. Ours is quite different. We didn't do the partner map. I hope that's okay. We just did the first one, and ours is a bit more general, but I can share my screen. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, we can see.
So I'm Audrey.
I'm Mary Kate
And
Kesler.
we're interns at Revolve. Can you go ahead and start?
Yeah. So like Audrey said, we didn't choose a specific product, but we wanted to focus on the idea of increasing local fruits and vegetables in school lunches. So our ecosystem would be a local school, and the means of production for those local fruits and vegetables, we were thinking could be a municipal farm or a school garden. A school garden would be at a smaller scale, and then the municipal farm would be at a larger scale. Or another way would be to just partner with local farmers to get those products. And then this idea fits into the EU Green Deal's farm to fork strategy and the concept of circularity, because it improves the proximity of the products we consume, and it decreases the carbon footprint of bringing like food in from far away, etc.
So this is the Canvas, what's it called again? Value chain canvas tool that we modeled after. And to simplify a bit, we did just challenges and then potential solutions. So starting with the design, we were thinking also of the difference between urban and rural schools. It might be more challenging in urban schools to create, to grow food at the school, but with the increase of like urban gardens nowadays, that challenge can be overcome. So we had the idea of building school gardens to grow fruits, and educating students about reducing food waste and cultivating their own produce, fruit specifically. And we thought of fruit specifically because we were remembering talking about the jam company in the launch. So that's why we were focusing on fruit here. So, and then in the, for the nutrients section, we were thinking about organic versus conventional agriculture. So one challenge is that even though conventional agriculture is more common and accepted, it causes a lot of problems like poor soil health, erosion, decreased nutrients in the food. So a solution to that is to grow fruit using organic methods and using regenerative agriculture. And then for the preparation and processing, a couple of challenges is that currently a lot of fruit is packaged in plastic. A solution to that is to use compostable packaging or no packaging at all. Additionally, like in processing, fruit can be easily damaged and it's perishable. So a couple solutions to that is to package food more carefully, to preserve fruit, to prevent waste. And that's kind of where companies like that Tasty company comes in. And another solution to the preparation and processing, like do you want to explain the partnering with farmers aspect?
Sure. So we were thinking that a school could partner with local farmers to create that relationship so that they could bring in local food, and it might be easier to figure out transportation or decrease transportation to pick up the fruit, to drop the fruit off. And then also we were thinking it would be a good way that kids could become educated of how, like, where their food comes from, so they have a better idea of the importance of eating and growing locally.
Mm-hmm. And that is pretty similar to the distribution and delivery. So instead of using food coming from other countries, using locally grown fruit from farms in the school garden. And then when it comes to cooking, we're thinking about how often for like produce and fruit that people don't tend to buy the fruit that doesn't look as nice. So this is kind of a cultural shift to using, instead of just throwing away the fruit that doesn't look appealing, you could use it to cook things, make things like preserves and jams, or just serve them that way. And then when it comes to cooking, also using electric instead of gas.
So for the reuse and sharing part of the tool, a challenge that we identified was food is often thrown away, and food waste in schools is very high. So to remediate that challenge, we thought of offering leftovers to families at pickup, but this would need like a system, because there's going to need to be containers that families need to pick up the food in. And then you also need to identify which food should be thrown away versus which food should be kept. Like, for example, like are you going to like make kids take home their leftovers if they don't want it? Just kind of things like that. And then another potential solution was to give extra fruit to the people in need. For the next one, collection and recovery, a challenge is that food waste combined with non-food waste and shipped away. Audrey can.
Sorry, to explain this more clearly.
Yeah, explain this one.
Like food waste is often combined with things like plastic or paper, and instead of separated out, and that can cause a lot of issues in a landfill. It creates more greenhouse gases. It doesn't allow the food to break down properly. So to do this, having compost like more available around the school, and collecting it to use later.
And then finally, for the next use, there's going to be organic food waste, but the solution to this we thought was pretty simple. You can just compost the scraps for the school garden if it is more on site, or you can send the compost to whichever local farm you're partnering with for next use to grow more vegetables and fruit.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you so much, girls. You did great. I don't think nobody else have anything to present. I think, correct me, everybody, if I'm wrong. So maybe Andreas, you could proceed. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have anyway recommended to give a feedback right now, because if something else is presented, then I've forgotten all the part of that. That was really great. Thanks a lot. Really good how you also hit all the fields, because it, of course, that it's also the idea to learn how to use the value chain canvas. So there's not having the right ideas or something like that, but you really captured every step of the value chain and what the possibilities are and what the challenges are. So it was really good to see a lot of cool ideas. And I recognized when I looked at it now, And then you think, oh, it's a school. You can do so many things. I mean, you can explore with the kids. You can work with the local farmers. Then you can go to they can go to the farm and have school lessons there. They could actually also healthy food. They like for the where you put the food sources, the organic or the common ones. Of course, that's always the major challenge. Will then be when you go to the next step. What do we do with the cost? Because in the moment, unfortunately, healthy food is a lot more expensive than unhealthy food. And that, but that of course it can start with educating. Also that in school that kids can have projects what are also about local food and so on. They can explore. So basically with the things you mentioned in the value chain canvas, maybe that could be really an idea for the school to do some projects with the kids where they can go exploring, find out how to use that, and really raise a lot more awareness about healthy local food, what that means and what impact that has. So from the canvas, there's not a lot I can add actually. So it was, I really liked it. What were your, or did you have any questions or challenges when you were filling it out? What were the main points you were discussing internally?
We struggled a bit with the collection and recovery one. I don't think we had the clearest understanding of what that category actually meant. So that was one where we kind of went back and forth on, but in the end, I think our interpretation worked out. But yeah,
and also with the there was the reuse and then the next use.
Mm-hmm.
So we just I'm not sure if this was correct, but with reuse, we were thinking that's like if the food is still able to be used, and then like next use is if it's past the point of being eaten. So that's when the composting would come in.
Yeah,
so,
that's where that's of course there is no, this is how you need to, or what is the right way to differentiate, but that's my or our interpretation on that. So next use really means, well, let's say the reuse, the next use could be also, I don't know, some kind of upcycling or something you do from fruits. For example, there's in Germany, there's an interesting new startup. They do from food waste or other wastes, from organic waste, they do biodegradable plastics, which is not plastics, right? But it's really, they do packaging which can be put into compost. Usually what you have in biodegradable plastics is, well, not really for home compost, but more for industrial composting. And they actually they would have maybe an opportunity for that kind of waste. Of course, you need to have a lot of schools, I think, to feed their production then. But yeah, that's what usually let's say the next use would be looking into composting, and then also for the packaging, what do you do? And the reuse, like you put it, like give it to the parents or to pick up for the kids can take it home. That's really a good starting point, because also it will make more conscious how much food is left over. And of course, the best when you are in the reuse section and you see what are the things left over, that you feed that back to the design, or to the ordering process. So what do we actually need to order? So how can we ensure that we haven't got so many leftovers? If you don't ever, let's say, measure it, because that's what happens, right? So people sometimes have the feeling, yeah, this food is not taken so much on board by the kids, but others more. So let's buy more of that. But if you have no measures, then it's very hard to take the decisions. So that is also something which can then help by looking at the next use really, and looking at containers, because that could be, of course, reusable containers. There are a lot of food containers now for restaurants or other parts you can use. There are systems around, and that could also be used for schools. And schools are actually nice because it's a lot easier to return it than if you are getting it from a restaurant and you need to go back to a restaurant, for example. For the school, you anyway need to go back every day. So if you bring something back, it's not that inconvenient.
Yeah, I also have to say this part is tricky for the food system, right? Because it's not that you are returning a broken machine that you can repair or something like that. But I guess the canvas is like thought for all the products. And yeah, the ideas that you suggested are great in terms of within this zero food waste thing. It's nice, but I also think that a great challenge in the food system is that there is this food health problem or ethics. My uncle works in a food company that provides food to the schools, and even they try to be like zero food waste. It's very tricky when you deal with 1,000 kids. And then it's great that they could give it to families, as you suggested, that they need it, but the law it's even not encouraging this because then if something goes wrong, yeah, the company has to deal or is responsible of this. So it would be great that from the governmental point of view could be some some considerations, or at least that the responsibility is clear. But it's really bad that they have to just throw away the food, which at the end they don't throw it away, they put it within other value chains. Let's say, for example, to feed animals. There is also this big industry with human food leftovers, but yeah, it's very bad that at the end of the day you have 50 meals, good meals, that you have to throw away because nobody wants to be responsible if somebody gets sick. So yeah, I just wanted to bring this up, which is a real challenge, I think, in the food system.
I think that's a general issue with our way of taking responsibility. If we don't manage that people can take responsibility of what they eat, but they can give it to someone else, then we are anyway in a not good situation. So basically it's kind of everyone should understand, how can I find out if that is still edible or not in a good way, and decide for themselves a bit more than being able to sue someone if something doesn't taste super well. But that's my personal opinion.
So maybe we can move to Maurizio presentation. We also have another view, right?
Yes.
On how to do things right.
Maybe just quick question, because there's nobody else who prepared something, but is somebody who worked with the value chain canvas and had a question?
Yes.
So that would be the chance to ask me.
We didn't give them enough time, Andreas.
Okay.
Maybe another day. Thank you.
So first of all, congratulations to the Audrey and Mary-Kate, because it was not easy to prepare such a analysis. So it was really impressive to see all the elements on the floor, all the options. So it was also inspiring for us. And I will share my presentation. It's about, as you know, on the previous topics, part of this course. It's about the PEFMED project. So as an introduction, I can say that from the theory, we are now speaking also in practice, what does it mean try to measure the sustainability at processing level. So what does it mean also for company to monitor, to know, to search for their impacts along the food supply chain? So I think it's very interesting, but also important to see what happens in real condition. So in concrete, at concrete level. Because the first message I would share with all the participants is that before choosing alternative solution, before letting to change also conventional practices, it's important to know and to monitor what how much companies are at a different stage of the supply chain. So it was a very a very nice job, a very nice project, also funded by the Interreg MED program, and we were very much interested to be on board for that. So I am Maurizio from Federalimentare Servizi. This is the Italian Federation of Food and Beverage Industry at national level. And in this, as a background, which is still coherent with the current situation, when we are discussing about also possible environmental generic label, we know that this is a challenge, as it is, because there are many other environmental labels present in the market. So it's also a challenge because this is a mess for the consumers, which can be lost or getting confused, but also for the companies, for the operators from the food industry, because it's difficult also for us to move inside the market, which is an important factor of competitiveness for the company. So harmonization should be the real key. And from one side, so the regulatory framework, the regulatory framework is an important baseline, because as you know, not only the Farm to Fork, but the horizontal Green Deal is fixing some ambitious objectives for companies willing to make green claims, and guide them to substantiate these green claims against an approved methodology. And also the latest version of the Circular Economy Action Plan is going into this direction. And the legislative proposal for making green claims should be was postponed for a couple of years, and now maybe it will be published after summer, but we are also waiting to know more about that. And from the other side, apart the regulatory framework, as I said before, the consumer awareness is about the food chain. The impacts from the food chain is growing more and more. So there is a general an increase in concern about the role of each actor of the food supply chain about environment and assignment of clear responsibility. So the PEFMED, we worked in PEFMED in this background. So we tried to look for systemic eco-innovation series of intervention in the agri-food supply chain. Our ambition was also to link this solution, this intervention, to link them also with a concrete market uptake of the eco-innovative solution, and also to stick with the regional smart specialization strategies, also to have a coherence between the real possibilities from the companies working also in a specific territory. So I said before I have mentioned about a standard methodology approved by the European Commission. You know now after the course that we are speaking about the PEF, so the product environmental footprint. It's a methodology. It is based on the life cycle assessment, and it is covering from the an holistic approach all the impacts generated by the full food supply chain, which does not mean only the processing stage, but from the primary, of course, by the processing, but also including the other actors, so the retailers, and also go until the consumers. So many different stakeholders along and around the agri-food chain, and many hotspots to take into account and to monitor. You already know about what we have achieved, but just a very short summary. The definition of the PEFMED branded methodology, because it is the official methodology from the European Commission, plus an integration with also socioeconomic territory-based indicators, a kind of pilot action reports based on the LCA analysis on a specific food chain, plant-based, but also animal-based, finalization of self-assessment tools for the diagnosis, and a kind of recommendation and national roadmaps for the uptake of environmental footprint sustainability solution for the Mediterranean specific production. So the tools were, I don't know why the presentation is doing this. It's mostly we are speaking about three kind of tools: the PEF tool, the socioeconomic KPIs tools, and the info sheets. So the first one is very interesting because we are speaking about practice, not theory. So the design of an environmental footprint tool for olive oil, packaged water, and wine production. So with the support of research center, but also with the availability of companies. The tool produced a simplified qualitative and quantitative assessment for the three sectors I've mentioned before. And the objectives of the tool is to help to support the companies to assess their main hotspots in terms of life cycle assessment, impact categories, and also some for improvement solution to mitigate, decrease the impacts. So the steps were this 6 steps from the preliminary assessment, then analysis of the results, the comparison between these results versus the mandatory PEF rules, the data collection, which is the most difficult part, elaboration the results according to the PEF methodology, and then to elaborate a benchmark where the companies can see in which position they are, and also the benchmark allows a comparison between versus the average results from companies belonging to the same sector and according to the PEF category rules. So you already been let's say trained about the results from olive oil and cheese in particular. Today I would like also just to to talk something to say something more about another pilot test which was very interesting about wine and winery production in Apulia region and in Italy. So this is just to, for example, to report, to share this the main summary of the result of this analysis, where the most relevant impact categories from the winery primary production we have run for the pilot activity were the terrestrial eutrophication, so from the soil, acidification, photochemical ozone formation, and also water depletion, and for example, packaging. It was mentioned before. In this case, for this type of wine reference, we took as a for our to run our pilot. Packaging accounts for around 50% of the 5 most relevant impact categories. The second tool, which is very interesting also as well, the socio-economic and social key performance indicators. It was the innovation from the project, and it consists on a set of 14 economic and social key performance indicators, so the KPIs, and a number of 36 questions to test the applicability of the product environmental footprint, also by integrating this set of indicators. And the main indicators include, amongst the others, human rights, the working condition and the safety procedures, the cultural heritage, so the link with the territory from between the companies and the territorial production, the governance policies, and a number of other socioeconomic territorial impacts. And the results of the application of this tool reflects also the in a perspective way the progress from the company in this field, so along this these indicators, and one of the most fruitful condition by using this tool, because by using this method also on a regular basis, for example, at yearly, this can allow companies to track the progress on the specific KPIs to see where they are moving better than others, and to identify thus some areas for better improvement. And also the users of the tool can choose to focus their resources on all the KPIs or select those that are most interesting in that. So there is there is a web link to explore in concrete the tools, and in the slides you can use also this hyperlink. The info sheet is the most narrative and descriptive tools, because it's about scientific description from technological management and solution to be promoted, so for the use by the companies to improve the environmental footprint mitigation in the agri-food value chain by the company. So the target group of this tool are especially small and medium enterprises. It's a kind of library. Actually, there are more than 50 info sheets grouped for 6 specific thematic areas: for water, waste, packaging, eco-labeling, resource efficiency, which is very difficult to read, and socioeconomic, and plus 10 cross-cutting info sheets. So they are cross-cutting because they are summarizing common thematic areas. And also for this tool, there is as a source in our the PEFMED wiki platform, there is the specific workspace to download them. So to conclude the presentation with a perspective of replicability model, for sure, companies were interested to explore the use of the tools from PEFMED, also because in this way they can perform, if they were not doing that before, to do a preliminary assessment on the environmental and socioeconomic aspects of their production. And of course, drivers can be competitiveness, because the companies tend to make resource and use efficiency to stay competitive on the market. From a replicability point of view, there are no borders for the application of these tools, because they can be also adapted to the specific different production branches, food branches, and they can be also exported and used to other productive chain. For example, the tool from olive oil can be taken in, as it is, but also adapted in a flexibility way to other food chain. And also for the info sheet, for example, the content are very generic, and they are really usable from companies, so there is no expiry date to endorse this solution, so they are not obsolete now. And as a lesson, kind of a lesson learned, we scouted, and also the logo of PEFMED Plus now changing, because we were also in a prolongation of PEFMED in a 1 year more phase called the plus phase. We tried also to run a knowledge transfer to some Adriatic countries, such as Montenegro, Croatia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina, but we reported different awareness about environmental challenge from the food production, so different perception on eco-labeling, strictly connected to the market condition and also to regulatory framework and consumer trends. As you can easily imagine, the smaller agri-food companies showed in all the countries higher difficulties to stay tuned on that than the bigger ones. So also to comply with the PEF procedures and costly procedure, because it's a matter also that are the data collection, for example, it's a very expensive procedure for the companies. And dissemination is the key. So capacity building is the key for the agri-food sector, but I can say also not only for our sector, also for others, because there is still the need to increase skills of the workforce to follow and to meet the challenges represented by the future environmental labeling schemes which will be introduced in the next years. So agri-food goes green. It was our main message. And we have also the room, Maria, also to show the project video if there is the chance. Otherwise, we can stop here the presentation and available for a question and miscellaneous.
I think we have time to show the video.
Okay,
It would
I
be
will
nice.
just
Yeah.
share also the sound because it's always tricky. Just a second. This is the video we released 1 month ago at the end of the PEFMED Plus project during the final conference we celebrated in Split in Croatia.
European Union set up an ambitious environmental strategy for the agri-food sector called From Farm to Fork. And our project, PEFMED Plus, acts in the same direction by promoting greater awareness in both institutions and businesses of how much important the environmental issues are. Together with our European partner, we share knowledge, experiences and tools to help companies to reduce their environmental footprint. In countries like Croatia, Montenegro and Bosnia-Herzegovina, transferring our results in typical Mediterranean agri-food production chain.
The county as a regional government believes that the PEFMED Plus certainly can be a game changer in the agri-food producers and the business even in the local communities. Agri-food sector, an important source of income for local communities and also an important part of the social fabric and the local culture. Any measure aimed at improving the food system will have to take into account not only environmental but also social and economic aspects. Production only measures are not enough, but support needs to green the full supply chain. Reduction of the environmental impact of agri-food companies has positive effect in the local community due to the fact that it affects the increase of the efficiency, competitiveness and sustainability of the business. Through PEFMED Plus, we see an opportunity to grow economic activity, employment and innovation, but also positive effect on the nature.
Well, the PEFMED project brought several benefits for my institution. I will point out just significant ones. We gain insight on EU, regional and national sustainable food policies, including a set of ready-to-use outputs for the product environmental footprint. We also expanded our national and international collaboration network and areas of interest. And at the end, we also strengthened our team spirit and expertise in the project management. On the other side, close cooperation with wide network of national stakeholders from public, private and NGO organizations and developed protocol for cooperation ensures PEFMED Plus project afterlife and contributes towards the creation of a more integrated national food safety, security and environmental policies.
At the first part of PEFMED Plus project, 3 of our colleagues was attending a series of online events during the activity training of the trainers. Our colleagues then transferred the acquired knowledge to stakeholders from the agri-food sector. Also, thanks to the projects, we were able to apply one of the PEFMED tools at the largest winery in our region. Stakeholders expressed satisfaction with the presented tools, and the Memorandum of Understanding was successfully signed with the cluster of agri-food cooperatives, with which we will continue to transfer knowledge and tools of the project. We can emphasize that this approach can easily be transferred and replicated to other stakeholders in the Adriatic area.
So thank you also for giving the time and the chance to launch the video.
Thank you, Maurizio, for your presentation. It was great.
Yes, the video is online. Yes, it's in YouTube. So I will share in chat the link, the YouTube link.
Perfect. I don't know if somebody wants to ask questions to Maurizio or Andreas. If not, I may try to do a little bit recap. Yeah, and Cynthia is also, I remember about the survey, but maybe at the end, I don't know, like feel free to turn on your cameras and speak, but just as a recap or things that to link what Andrea suggested about the value chain and the tools and what Maurizio presented, I think it's very hard to go align, right? Or to find the best tool But as it was here said, there is not good or bad ideas or good or bad tools. We just need a system to quantify and monitor, to have a baseline and to see how can we improve this baseline, right, in terms of circularity. And all specific case studies are specific and everybody should study their own case. And there are very nice examples, as Maurizio explained, with different food products. And yeah, education, it's fundamental, but then
Yes,
also
Maria, if I can add something just to
Hmm.
properly for education, because this is a course, a very nice course. So the idea is to encourage people, students, to focus on these matters, because for example, from the company's point of view, they will need more and more workforce and skilled about these topics. So my impression is that focusing their curricula also on these matters, with these elements, but also in their future career, also in academia career, for sure that it is also an opportunity for their future career, working companies dealing with this, for example, environmental data collection, environmental data interpretation for the, in this case, for the company behavior, for the company monitoring. So it's a wide room for future career. So the message is for people interested on that, to cover these topics.
Thank you, Maurizio. Cynthia, do you want to add something?
Yes, no, because actually that's precisely what I wanted to highlight. So congratulations for the presentation. Because if you see, we have, I mean, the program and the focus of these courses are also focused on the Mediterranean region as a whole. So thinking about data collection, if it is a bit hard to collect this data and to introduce these skills and awareness on the business models in the northern part of the Mediterranean, I would like to mention what we could advise to the colleagues from the southern part of the Mediterranean, that when they find not only mindset that could be not on the same mood, but the tools that they can have, because digitalization, I think that it's a strong opportunity for them. So maybe Maurizio or Andreas, if you can share some thoughts, thinking about other countries that probably they don't find all these policies out in advance that we are having on the north.
What we really learned from this process, because from PEFMED and PEFMED Plus, we were working more or less 4 years on this matter. So also as we learned something, we remarked a jeopardized way of collecting data. So we know, for example, for the elaboration of the PEF category rules, that the core is represented also by the data sets. On the basis of these data sets, the PEF rules are designed, and the benchmark also are on the floor. So we noted, for example, that in the majority of these data sets for the different kind of food sectors are represented mostly on data coming from the central and northern part of Europe. So there is also a problem of populating these data sets with concrete and scientific data also from the southern part of Europe. So, for example, corresponding to the Mediterranean diet, etc. So yes, it's a problem, and digitalization was the key. Without this digitalization, it's impossible for company to track to keep track on this complicated data. And also the third issue is the supply chain. We noted that, for example, working with the pilot case from the cheese maker in Lombardy, we noted that if the company is really endorsing this issue, they have not the power, but the yes, the power also to push their suppliers along the food supply chain to do the same. So not only to collect data, but also to push them to change some conventional practices. So to introduce alternative solution, better solution, because it is a work that shouldn't be done only at plant level, but involving and pushing all the other actors before and after the processing stage. So it was one of the lessons learned we got from these projects.
To add to that, so of course I haven't done 4 years of studying in that area, so my perspective is a bit different. What I think is in general is interesting is, on the one side, we now, that's great, we look at the supply chain and we understand better what the supply chain is, where it comes from. Where we actually almost not at all look at is the usage chain. So basically, where does our products go? Because especially for Mediterranean food, a lot of the food ends in our fridges here in the north or somewhere around the world, or in our kitchen, because the olive oil, I don't know how much of the olive oil is really consumed locally, because then the footprint is of course a lot better. But I think the footprint, if you look at it when it is in Finland, United States, or I don't know, wherever you send it to, of course it's a complete different perspective. So I think it's very hard also to capture that, and you need maybe to take assumptions, and how can that be nurtured, or how can that be fed into the footprints also? Where does your product go to? I mean, we had it when we discussed, or when I looked at the Eura example from Maria, where I thought it's great that they have they say we have local food, but if they want to go global and want to send all their food from Barcelona to all around the world, then a lot of the savings you have maybe on the supply chain, in regarding to your footprint, you will have on the distribution chain, and then all the different steps. So with the wholesalers, the retailers, and yeah, also for kitchens or restaurants, and maybe some intermediaries, and where is it being stored, how long is it being kept in some fridges, and so on. So I think that, I don't know how that aspect, and that's maybe a question to Maurizio, how that aspect is catered into for the footprint, the whole usage, and basically everything which comes after usage, because the first part is a lot easier maybe than to measure still. So question to Maurizio, you're directly passing it on.
Yes, the topic of the measurement of not, let's say, all the different angles of the sustainability. It's a tricky issue for companies. For example, today we were a lot talking about food waste. So we are also, for example, now participating in a new Horizon Europe project about food waste measurement, because we need to also to monitor the amount of waste generated in the different stages of the sector, and also to, for example, Maria was before sharing the topic about the food donation, for example, to simplify the procedure for the food donation. So it is said I bring the point of view of a company, so maybe I have only my focus. But if I working with them, working with the companies, I see that they are very much pushed from different angles, and it is not really easy to follow all these challenges, because there is also a problem of long-term investment for them. So, for example, if we see all the legislative measure coming from the Green Deal, there are in the next 5 years more than 40 proposals that are on the floor. So also for companies, they need to have a clear regulatory framework timeline to getting prepared, to plan the investment, and to change also their plant. In the presentation of Audrey and Kate, there was also, for example, returnable packaging topic. So the deposit return schemes, the DRS. Yes, it's a good thing. It's a good way maybe to introduce, but in practice it means a lot of investment to, for example, to change completely production lines to be able to, for example, to receive back the packaging used, so to wash them, to control damaged packaging, so not really can if not really used to return in the supply chain. Also to keep track from the digitalization point of view, which are the packaging that should be returned because they are owned by the company. So my feeling is that consumers are asking a lot of responsibility action from companies, but also companies need to be in a situation to introduce and to adapt to all these requests, because it's not easy, because the theory is different from the practice. So I would not say it's impossible, because we must change the way of production. We must mitigate the way of production, but also I think that each production branch has a different performance, has a different benchmark. So there is no a standard way to meet these challenges.
Yeah, but definitely, I think what Andrea was pointing out is that, okay, from the production point of view, we have a duty, but then on the market, when we place the products on market, that would be another challenge to have. And I will think that any kind of product at the same time, if we explore the potential market that you have in proximity, I mean, there's a lot of people, and we maybe our companies don't need to go to China to send their so they can explode more the critical mass that they can have on the market that they have in a more close radius. So Maria, I will suggest, because maybe from the colleagues that are connected, maybe they can have some impressions. There was in the chat.
Yes.
Magdi, she was, I mean, so maybe you can, I mean, for us, it's also interesting because this is the first time that we do this with this approach. So it would be very helpful if you can, which are the things that you found relevant or valuable from the course. Mari, Audrey, and also I see here, Asya, don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy to say it here. And also you have the survey too, if you want to express it through the survey.
Yes.
I can keep talking if nobody talks, but yeah, if not, yeah, if nobody wants to add anything else, we may finish the session. But yeah, feel free to give your ideas.
I think Audrey and Mari, you want us to add something about the experience of going through the course and
For me, it was a lot of new material and projects I hadn't heard of before. So it was really enlightening and interesting to learn about the agri-food industry in the Mediterranean. And then being from the United States, I think it's interesting when I leave Barcelona in the coming weeks to go back home and learn about what it's like in the US and how it can change there too.
great.
And just maybe to finish with a like hope, not hope, but because and linking with Mari and everybody said, it's like we brainstorm a lot and there are a lot of challenges, but maybe the main idea would be like there are tools available and more we are trying to do our best. So like not try to be, sometimes even myself, I like, oh, I'm doing everything wrong, or there are so many things to change. So maybe even from the company point of view, be realistic, try to prioritize what we want to change and maybe start from one thing in all aspect, in all the value chain places, even for end users. So if we want to start changing something, let's try with this, and little by little, I guess we will move towards a better society. We don't need to do everything at one time.
Andreas, you want to add something?
Yes, and that's maybe also from what Maurizio said before. So of course there are challenges, especially with the returnable packaging, for example, but that's on the one side, that's a challenge. And the question is, do the companies need to solve that by themselves, or is that opening a great space for new business models and new ideas? I mean, there are two organizations, I think they're both Germans, Vital and Recap. They are providing multiple use or returnable packaging for restaurants mainly. And they both got 10 million, something like that, investment this year. So really, they have proven they can do it, and they really do it actually. And it's not something which is then just costing, but it's a new business for people. And then of course it's not an additional cost for the existing players, but it's something which is coming on top and which is creating additional benefit and therefore also creating opportunities. And I think if you, like Audrey and Mary-Kate did pretty well, if you look at these challenges and look at the opportunities, if there are no potential solutions, why not establishing one new? Because all these organizations, they came around not so long time ago. So there is, and I think especially in all the logistical processes, there is a lot of opportunities and a lot which we need to do, because when we look at ecosystems, kind of this ecosystem facilitator and ensuring that all the partners play together, that is not something the individual organizations are so good at. And that's not their focus. All the cooperation part or collaboration part is not really what is being seen as very beneficial, let's say it like that. So if there are people who can connect the dots, who can bring the players together, who can create these solutions for a better ecosystem, that's really important. And that's what you can, when you also go to your companies, to the organizations, wherever you are, that's what you can inspire or even start. So you don't need to start it all, you don't need to solve it on your own. But if you bring up these ideas and if you look with this perspective from circular economy, from the whole value chain, at the solutions or at the products your partners are bringing. Just ask some questions, also for suppliers or everywhere you are. It can sparkle something new. It can have a ripple effect so that something starts without you being aware. And I think that's the important thing. We need to talk about it. We need to make people aware, because they said, oh yeah, actually, I never thought about that. Good point. Let me have a look at it. Yeah, like a guy in production who said, why do we need always to sell new machines? Can we not just use one which we remanufacture? Well, you can try it. And then it turned out to be a new business model. So that's the encouraging part of circular economy, because there are new things growing and you can be part of it.
Very nice conclusion. Thank you, everybody. I think we can leave it here if everybody's happy about that.
I think it has been great, a great session.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.